Yeah, it's TMO here. This is the Beetle show with TMO. On this show, we talk about lifestyle modifications to help us build wealth, how to manage, how to multiply, and how to increase our financial resources. So, all we do here is to help you make more money. Now, on today's show, we're talking about something special. So, share the link and let your friends join the conversation. It will be really engaging, and I want to hear your own opinion on this. So, what do you think, guys? Should we leave inheritance for our children? You know, there are two school of thoughts concerning this, and there are many ways to leave inheritance. Some people feel like leaving inheritance for their child means that if I've given you good education, that's your inheritance. I've given you something solid. Other people feel that I want to let my children have a steady foundation. I want my children to have houses. I want them to have estates. So, what is your own opinion, you that are watching me? What's your opinion concerning leaving inheritance for your children? Do you think we should leave inheritance, or do you think it gets them spoiled? You know, because the truth is that there are many children of the rich who don't feel the need to hustle. I'm sure all of you saw the video very recently, the picture of Ferrari, you know, the Otedola's copy and siblings that just launched this beautiful three-piece of cars that are extremely expensive, and they said, Daddy took us shopping, you know. So what's your opinion concerning this? So I'm having Sheifat joining. Happy to join today. Good to have you. Welcome to the show. It's the Beetle show, and we're talking inheritance. So let me know what your opinion is. What's your own plan? Did you get inheritance from your parents? Let me know. Would you be leaving inheritance for your children? Let me know. Do you think your parents are selfish if they decide to live their life? Because there's one interview I read. In this particular interview, these parents, they said that I've sent my child to school. End of story. The only other thing I owe my child is to marry him or her off. Once you're gone, I'm fine. And what the man did in his 60s is to travel around the world. So would you feel your father or mother are selfish if they decide that after they've taken care of you to the university level, they want to just travel around the world and spend the money they worked hard for? Or would you prefer they leave an estate for you? What's your opinion on inheritance? I want you to call into the show. Type in your comments and let me see what you think about this. I have my own opinion, and I'm going to give you my opinion. Believe me, I'm very opinionated, and you all know that I have what I think should be done, and I have my perspective on different situations. But concerning this one, I want to first hear from you. So all of you that are watching me right now, what do you think? Type it out. Inheritance, yay or nay? And how do you think inheritance should be given? What's the best form of inheritance that you believe should be given? How many of you know that our fathers and our grandfathers, that they've built houses in, let me say, they built houses in the village, you know, they built this mansion, 8 bedroom, and nobody is living there. All the kids have traveled out, they've gone to America, they did their masters in the US and they stayed in there. Some went to the UK. What's your opinion? And now the house is lying empty. So it's cool to leave inheritance for your children. Yay! So that's your own opinion. What is the kind of inheritance you would leave, Danielle? What's the kind of inheritance you would leave Danielle's control? Because I feel that many times we build our own houses that we live in, and we think our children will live there. Imagine if you're watching me from Lagos, you are aware of Songwater. Now I have a very, very close friend, she's like my mentee. Her father's house is in Songwater, and in this Songwater they built this palatial building that the father left for them. The father's passed on. The mom relocated to some other part of the country and she's working there. The siblings are all working on the island. Why would they live in Songo when they are working on the island? So guess what happened to the palatial house? Empty. For me, I want to hear your own opinion, because inheritance is something that biblically we're meant to do it. We're meant to leave inheritance for our children. That's what the Bible says, that a good man leaves these things. But we've seen in Nigeria and we've seen in our own African setting that sometimes you leave this inheritance and the children don't use it. That's on one category. Sometimes some parents feel bad that they see what they spent their hard-earned money building, dilapidated, is dilapidated, and there's nobody doing anything about it. So I even have issues with my mom, who feels that I've not been to her house in Ikorodu, so she built this set of flats in Ikorodu, and I'm her only child, and my mom feels like this is my property. You don't go there. You don't even know your way down there yourself. If anything happens to me, who's going to be collecting the rent from that house? So how do you leave inheritance in a good way for your children is what we're discussing on today's show. And on my shirt today, I have written Transgenerational Wealth. That means that we left something from our own generation to the next generation, our children, and hopefully to the third generation, our children's children. That's our hope. And there's something that really touched me. I've shared this story a few times on this show, where we're talking about the importance, the very, very crucial importance of leaving something for your children. So the story I heard was from Steve Harvey, where he spoke about how he was with a friend visiting the dying uncle, and the person asked, "Do you know your grandfather?" And the man said, "I don't know my grandfather's name." He said, Do you know your grandfather's name? Do you remember the man's name? He said, "No." He said, "Well, if the man left you inheritance, you will know his name. If he left you an estate, you will know your grandfather's name." And it touched him, that's Steve Harvey, that he wants his great grandchildren to remember his name by virtue of the quality of estates he leaves for them. But there are two sides to leaving inheritance for your children. If you leave inheritance for your children thinking that maybe I've built a business, my children will run my business, sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes you build a fantastic business and your children don't run it. Sometimes you build a phenomenal business and your children have no interest in it. We have many people that are lawyers whose children, the father of family, hey, the man is a fantastic lawyer, but how many of his kids are lawyers? So sometimes you think, I've built a fantastic law firm, and so my children should follow through and become lawyers. It might not necessarily happen. Or you've built an industry, you've built like the Eleganza by the Okoyas, or like Dangote. Dangote, I hear his daughter is already in the business, but what if his daughter doesn't have any interest in it? What if she wakes up tomorrow and says that, I don't want to do this, I don't want to be owner of a conglomerate, I actually just want to be a potter, I want to be a painter, I want to be a singer, I want to do something different, I want to be a writer. Every child has a right to chart their course. As parents, our responsibility is not to impose our business ideas on them or impose our inheritance on them. We shouldn't lock our inheritance around their neck like it is going to now drag them down. Rather, our inheritance that we leave for them should be a platform for them to grow, for them to flourish, for them to succeed. Now, if you are seeing your inheritance as becoming a bottleneck for your children, where they don't want to come to your office because they realize, Mommy is going to ask me, what do you think about this furniture business? I want you to inherit it. When you start having conversations where your child is no longer comfortable telling you about their dreams and their ambitions because they think you're tilting them towards something else, then you are turning the inheritance drama into a chain and you're pulling your child down. You need to be deliberate about this thing. No child wants to be locked down with their future. They want to explore. And whatever business you are building, your child wants able to take it up by themselves, not you forcing them into doing it. So, number one, your inheritance is a platform, not something to pull the child down. It's a platform to help your child fly higher. And that's why I want you to realize that it is very important as you are building inheritance not to expect your children to live after and do what you're doing. So whatever business you're building, don't expect your children will be your succession plan. They might not be. They might not have the capacity to run the business the way you run it, and they might not have the skills to run it or the interest to run your business the way you desire. Number two, let it not be something that will spoil them. So one of the things people complain about is that children of the rich are spoiled because they never had this hunger to hustle. And if you've never been hungry and you hustled, if you've never felt the need to hustle, you might not achieve the peak of success your parents did. So there's something in the school of transgenerational wealth, yeah, that's what my t-shirt is saying, that says that people who have children from the wealthy home, they tend not to be as successful as their parents because they never suffered. And because they didn't suffer, they have that cushion. So as a parent that wants to raise successful children and build transgenerational wealth, you mustn't spoil your kids by giving them all they want. Right from when they are small, you need to help them build the hunger for success You need to help them build the hunger to pass you and surpass you on every level. Number 3, don't hustle all your life because you want to leave inheritance. Also, make room within your wealth building journey to enjoy the wealth you're building. Many times parents become resent their children because they feel like, I've labored so hard to get you to where you are. You don't appreciate what I did for you. I made sacrifices for you. Have you heard that before? Where your parents tell you that I made so much sacrifice, I sold my gold, I sold my silver, I sold my correct wrapper to send you to school. Why are you not doing what I want you to do? So as parents, because you don't want to live a life of regrets where you feel like you have labored in vain, be deliberate that as you are earning money, you are taking aside a little chunk to enjoy your life and live your life to the fullest, so that you don't resent your children for stealing your youth and taking your sweat. Enjoy your life. It's part of your inheritance, and don't just give it to them, also enjoy it. So I was not looking forward to them dying so I can make money. I was missing them with their death. So here is the thing I bring before you. As a parent, let us strive to leave inheritance for our children, but let us be aware that whatever we leave for our children is an addendum, and they shouldn't be excited at the thought of us dying. They should really miss us when we decide, when life comes to an end. So I'm going to bring in Joella at this point to get a perspective in a nutshell, a very short one, on what she thinks about inheritance. So she's the second runner-up. She's the first runner-up on the Beetle challenge, and our video was about inheritance. Welcome with me, Joella Obaiwana. Yay! So Joella, I want to ask you, what do you think about leaving inheritance? What do you think about leaving inheritance?
I think. Thank you very much for answering this question. I think that parents should leave an inheritance for their children. And in the Bible, Proverbs chapter 13 verse 22 says, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So my point, me personally, I think that an inheritance to be left for your children to cause and my definition of an inheritance is like an inheritance is an asset or a valuable thing that you pass on to your generation to cause family wealth. So I think that we should leave an inheritance for our children to cause
transgenerational wealth.
Yes.
So, and the reason for transgenerational wealth, let me see, by the way, is because many rich people end up having children who descend into poverty because they did not put together a proper estate management team to handle the wealth they have built. So the children will spend out the money and then they get broke, and then nothing goes from the second generation to the third. So it is important to put in a structure so that the money transfers from one to another. What would be an ideal inheritance for you?
An ideal inheritance.
What would you like?
I like to have an inheritance that will help me with my gifts and talents to expand it and to multiply.
Yeah, I would like a house. Okay, so the truth is, for those of us that live in cities, we don't want to hustle around paying rent. It's something many people struggle with, so but I like your perspective. I like the wisdom behind it, that if you give me a house and you build a house in Ikeja, but my work is in like Ekpe and I need to live there, your house in Ikeja is a good advantage. Maybe what I'll do is create a platform for me to express my gifts, which is maybe I'll be able to rent it out, make money from there, and then I'll now be able to buy or rent a house somewhere else that is closer to where I want to express my gift. So that's very good. I want to ask you another thing. Many people feel that I know your mom bakes.
Yes.
So let's say your mom becomes the next cakes and creams, and she has like branches around Nigeria. Would you feel comfortable being the one to take over the cake business?
I definitely will not.
He said, I definitely will not. But she doesn't want to be. She does. Do you want to take over the cake making business? Not really.
Not really. But I can leave it a structure, then move on my life.
Again. I think she deserves a round of applause for that. She said, I will leave it a structure and then move on from that. That's a very wise move. But and I'm asking you that question because many parents struggle with this, and I'm happy that they're hearing it from you. So you guys are hearing it from, how old are you again?
10 years.
Yeah, you're hearing it from a 10-year-old person. Don't impose your businesses on the children. If they are as smart as Joella is, they will put a structure in place and move on with their life. And if not, you just know this. Your children are not supposed to carry the burden of your business. Okay? So, Joella, what will be your last words for today for all those that are watching the show right now?
My last word for everyone watching the show is that they should have a chat with their child. Like, what would their dream, their vision, their aspiration, like what would they like to have? What would they like to I don't know how to put this, but what would they like their parents to leave for them as an inheritance? And when they have that chat with their parents will know in what way they can align it with their gifts and talents.
Thank you so much, Joella. It was great having you on the show today. I'll definitely bring you back another time, more prepared, more balanced, and more ready to deliver. You should all know that she has lots of wisdom to share, right? From the little bit you've learned from her so far. Thank you, sweetie. Alright, so guys, that's it. You hear it. Have a conversation with your children concerning the kind of inheritance they are looking for and what they would like to have. More importantly, know this for a fact. Don't let your inheritance be a shackle upon them. Let it be a platform to encourage them to become all that they have the capacity to be. Another thing, appoint an estate manager. Don't expect your child has the capacity to manage everything you're leaving. Appoint an estate manager. Have a will. Plan how you would leave your properties to each child so that they are not fighting and hustling and jostling over their inheritance when you leave. Before you die, leave your inheritance, hand over to each person if you are old enough to do that. If not, just write a will. Most of the time it helps that when someone is sick, you're old and sick, your children are not waiting for you to die so they can take your property. They are actually going to miss you when you go, because your property is not of value to them. You've already given it to them. They are actually crying because they miss you, not crying because they are wondering what's this hustle and this bustle going to be like. So we're going to still continue talking about transgenerational wealth because we can't finish it in a day, and it's very important you put this perspective in mind so that it will help you as you're going forward. But thank you every one of you that joined me on the show today. I really appreciate you, and we'll be doing this again next week. If you have questions or you have a topic you think we should discuss, let me have it. Share with me any question you have concerning this, any topic you have in mind that you think we should discuss, and I might just consider it. See you next week. Bye.